back to the podcast. I'm your host, Brother Sean Brumfield, and I have with me Brother Jonathan Mitchell.
How's it going, everybody?
And unfortunately, Brother Ryan is not able to join us today. Keep him and his families in your prayers. His wife Becca's dad has been placed in hospice care, so they're going back and hanging out with them. If you can remember him, his name's Brother Mike Barker. It's a very hard time in their life, but we know the Lord's able to help them and give them the peace that they need to continue. So just remember them when you think about it. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. It's a different recording time than what we're used to, so it's a little bit earlier. It's a morning recording, which is a little bit different for us, but I'm doing pretty good, man. Having a lot of fun. I did have a question for you coming in. So as I was driving, or I wasn't driving today, I let Mariah drive us up here to just, so I got to, every once in a while, I like to sit in the passenger seat. So I was just looking out the window. And as I was driving or sitting in the passenger seat, I saw a building.
Okay.
Right before, I think it's the stretch between Germantown and then Madison Township, that road. I think it's Route 4. Literally, it's Route 4. There was a building that said Cowboy Church at 7 p.m. What is Cowboy Church?
You haven't seen those cowboy churches?
No.
On YouTube and stuff?
I have no idea what it is.
It's kind of strange, especially here in Ohio. These people come in wearing big old cowboy hats and big old cowboy belt buckles. And they come in looking like they live out in the Midwest from like the 1800s, like, you know, those old John Wayne movies, and they'll come all decked out like that. You know, that's kind of what it is. And, you know, they do their honky tonk music and
okay, so
like
it's
that.
like a country, it's like a country music gathering type deal.
In a way, but they're supposed to be singing gospel, I guess.
Okay. I just had never seen something called Cowboy Church. Now, where I'm from in Dayton, you see a lot of different things. Like there was a bus. It was a bus ministry that a church was doing that was painted black.
Really?
It was called the First Heavy Metal Church of Christ. So, that's what I've seen. I've just never seen Cowboy Church, so I didn't know what it was.
There's another type from where I grew up in Columbus. It was called Leave a Mark, and it was a biker church.
I've heard of those.
So they're in a way they're like heaven's angels.
Okay, well, that answers my question. I figured it was something that along that lines of it would be a bunch of guys dressed up and like it's like you're from the West and stuff like that. But I didn't know if it was like an actual like church service type.
Yeah,
deal.
I think it is.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing that I had never seen before. But you know, how are you feeling,
Dude? I'm still feeling kind of rough. You can tell my voice is still not the greatest.
I like your voice like that, though. You sound like I told you before we started recording. I said you sound like a late night DJ host. The sweet, sultry, smooth sounds of Brother Sean Brumfield.
Well, this is the sounds of the aftermath of bronchitis.
Yeah, that's my family's been hit by it too, but I never I don't know if I've become like immune, but I better knock on wood, I guess. But Emma's been fighting RSV, which is my daughter. So the lungs and the asthma and all of that stuff and the stuff of the respiratory has been hitting my house. But that's because one day it's 30 degrees and then the next it's 70.
That makes a difference. But I know for me as an asthmatic, your lungs are already compromised. So anytime you get into this nasty weather, it can mess you up. I remember I think I was probably 17 or 18 and I was put in the hospital. So my asthma is not your typical asthma. So a lot of people have an asthma attack and it's this immediate emergency response. You know, typically you can get out of it really quickly. Mine, you don't really know you're going through it until you're already having a hard time, and it's like prolonged. Like it can be weeks to months before it gets solved. So I went to this one time. I didn't know I was already sick and had my asthma acting up, and I went and stayed with my cousin's house, and he had cats. I'm deathly allergic to cats, I've already said before. So that made me even worse. And then from there, I caught H1N1, And that was the big year for it. It was like 2014, 2015 when swine flu was
Yeah, I was
going
about to
out.
say it was the swine flu.
Yeah,
right?
swine flu.
I almost called it the pig virus.
Yeah. Excuse me. That's what the Jews get if they eat pig is pig virus.
God.
No, I'm just kidding.
Got it.
No.
Got it.
But that wasn't funny at all. But, thought I'd throw it out there, But then after that, I went into lung failure.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I was in the hospital for a while, and it was nasty, man. It took me forever to catch up.
Well, funny thing in 2020 with COVID, I don't know if everybody knew that there was a pandemic or
Yeah.
COVID-19, right? I was actually the first person to get it at my work.
Oh, really?
So story, I knew I was sick. I knew I had a low grade fever because they were like, test yourself every day before you come into work. But we were this is when I was in accounting and we were the end of the month. So it was like crunch time for getting stuff closed and stuff. But I was sick and I was like feeling sick.
Mm-hmm.
And I called my manager and she's like, I may have COVID. I mean, I don't have a fever yet, but I don't feel good. And she's like, well, you're fine. Come to work.
Oh, geez.
I'm like, okay. Well, I get to work and I'm there for about an hour. And then I'm getting the cold sweats. So I'm shivering, but I'm sweating.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coughing. I feel horrible. And I'm like, look, I'm sick. I need to go. She's like, even though you could see how bad I look, she's like, you still don't have COVID, but whatever, you can go.
Mm-hmm.
So I went and I got tested and it came back COVID. Right. And that was when everybody was like, literally quarantine yourself from everybody. So I locked myself in the back room of my house for 2 weeks. I was by myself. I was married, wife, kids, all that whole thing. And I couldn't see my kids. I was literally in a room for 2 weeks. I locked myself away and they would basically, it was funny. Like they would bring my food. Set it at the door, knock and walk away. But I skip back. But I never even got an apology from that manager, but where I sat at in the office, they literally, anybody that was within like 20 feet of me, they moved their desk.
Oh, man.
And they had hazmats come in and clean my area. So that COVID was the stuff with the lungs, and that COVID's what killed my mom, is what caused my mom to pass away. That was pretty brutal the way to put it. So I understand like the stuff with respiratory, it can be so devastating because it, like with certain sicknesses, like obviously all major sicknesses stink, but like when you feel like you can't breathe,
Yeah.
that is a miserable, miserable feeling.
One of the things I've been struggling with, I hate that tickle in the throat, and that forces me to cough even harder than because I want to get it out. And even though I know that's probably not going to make a big of a difference. And so, but another thing that the mornings are the worst for me. So like going to bed and getting up is awful. So here recently I've been getting up and it's just kind of like my throat's so swollen that I wake up and go, like it literally sounds like that, gasping for air, trying to get up. But, we're coming out of it, this thing, and hopefully the rest of the world's coming out of it because everybody is like, we've missed so much church because of sickness, man.
Yeah, we had the snow, but last Sunday was like the first time we had actually had regular Sunday in like a month because of sickness and because of the snow. So like we're planning on, I think everything is good right now, but yeah, it's just been so much sickness going around. And the problem, and I don't, like, this is one of the things like I don't envy from pastors' perspective because of the whole COVID situation. You really don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Because that thing, like, I mean, obviously I believe we came out of it and we did well and everybody did the best they could. And I believe you can come to church, right? Like, I'm not saying that. But there's so much more of a hyper fixation on sickness now. Where back in the day, if there was sickness going through your church, you had church. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
But now, like with so many different sicknesses, a lot of pastors are put in the position of like, what do I do?
Well, I think a lot of the things now to take into consideration is a lot of our congregation is older now.
Yeah.
So when COVID happened, especially in our church, we lost a lot of elders, lots of elders. And I'm not saying that we should cancel for headaches and stuff like that. But I think if you have I'm not a pastor. I'm a youth pastor, and I work halfway an assistant role with Brother Ryan. And under his guidance, it's just, when we sit and think about it, it's like, well, do we close down, for a couple services and try to protect our congregation, or do we go ahead and risk it and then possibly lose part of the congregation?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, now we don't cancel for everything, but I mean, when you have 3/4 of the church out,
Yeah.
and everybody, we have a church messenger where people are like, hey, sorry, we're not going to make it. We have an expectation. And, especially when me and Brother Ryan both got sick at the same time. And then one of the men that would have helped stepped in the back, they just had a baby. So you're just kind of like, over half the congregation's gone. Youth pastors is sick. Everybody else that was stepping, isn't able to do it. So what you do, you just close out. There's nothing you can do.
You can do,
which is sad. Sorry for all the coughing, guys. I'm still getting over this junk.
Unforgiven.
But I mean, you do take a hit because, well, I'm not going to say you always take a hit, because sometimes when we come back, people are so hungry for church that worship isn't withdrawn. But then again, it can go the other way too, where they're like, well, we haven't been to church in a week and a half. What do we do from here? How do we get back into this? You're like,
how do you get back in the normal?
You've been going to church for 40 years and don't know how to get back in. Like, did you not have church at home while you were sick?
Well,
like, did you not read and pray or anything like that? Like, you didn't worship at all? But yeah, getting over the sickness is really hard. Especially this, I thought with the bitter cold and all the snow we had, we would kind of kill off some of this bacteria. But I think I was wrong, man. I mean, it just come back with a full vengeance. This is probably one of the most sick years I can think of as far as being in leadership. And
we took Emma to the hospital the other day, and the nurse and the doctor we were talking to when she was being evaluated said, so it was like November, like December-ish. There was a real big wave of it, of the same thing, respiratory, like COVID, RSV, flu. Like it was a really large influx around November, December. And they said here in the last couple weeks that influx has came back, and it's raised. Like they're seeing so many people with the same thing. So and the stuff with the lungs, like the problem with some of that stuff is you feel better before the infection and the disease and the sickness is gone. So you like, okay, I feel normal again, so I can do my normal thing. And instead of letting it completely recover, you push yourself to go through, and then and then you get out in the cold air, you get out in the weather, and it re-sparks it. So that
exactly what that is.
That's the thing with like respiratory. Sometimes you feel better before you are better, and then when it comes back, it comes back with vengeance.
And they give you, steroids and antibiotics which do work. I mean, I took them for about 2 or 3 days. And I didn't feel any different. Normally, you're way different. So I called them back and I was like, I'm just feeling worse. Like, what do I do? So I go in. They give me a shot, 2 shots. Gave me a shot of steroid, shot of antibiotic, and they got my seating pad, and that was not great. Having to walk around like that and try to get back in the van and all that wasn't fun. But then this is the issue I ran into last night. Or yesterday, rather, I couldn't find my antibiotic. And I looked all through the house and couldn't find it, went on through my day. And I just started panicking. I'm like, babes, I'm going to have a back set if I don't. And she was like, what's a back set? I'm like, oh, your parents loved you, apparently. But my mom and dad always threatened, if you didn't take all your medicine, you're going to get way, way worse.
That's what you're always supposed to finish your antibiotic. That's I'm guilty of it though.
Yeah.
Where I don't. Where as soon as I've
done that too. Yeah.
Where as soon as I start to feel better, I'm like, I don't want to take it, so I'm not going to take it.
Yeah. Well, so long story short, about 12:30 this morning, 1:00 this morning, I was like, I bet it's out in a trash can. I bet I accidentally threw that away, or somebody in our list threw it away. So I go out there with some gloves and a flashlight in my mouth, and I'm just digging through the trash, and there it is. There's the rest of my antibiotic just laying in the trash. I come in the house, and I'm like, how am I going to sanitize this junk? Like,
what do you do?
Yeah. So luckily it was still unwrapped, but I totally went in there, washed it with Dawn, and I didn't even peel it back because I was scared something was inside the lining. I took my knife and I did a nice incision around it and popped it out. Yeah. So I've been taking garbage antibiotics.
Literally.
Yeah.
Well, no, that I'm glad you're feeling better because we were worried we weren't even going to get to record this week.
There was a possibility.
There was a possibility. And one of the things I do want to speak to really quickly, we have only missed like 2 episodes, 1 or 2.
2, and last week was kind of a last ditch effort for me to try to keep that going.
With that episode that last week that we did, the quick little updates, I'm so excited for some of that stuff.
Yeah.
That we're looking to do. I think it will be so cool. I wanted to give my opinion on it because obviously I didn't get to last week when we were talking about it, but I'm so excited. And some of the challenge stuff, I'm just excited to see how I'll react to.
I'm excited to do some of the stupid stuff. Yeah, I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Because I like to have, for the most part, I like to have fun. Obviously, I think you guys can tell that on the podcast.
Yeah, what we do, yeah.
Yeah, I think we like to have fun. So doing I never did those challenges.
I never did either.
So I never did the cinnamon, the Sprite, some of those challenges. I never did them. The one chip, some of that stuff, I never did it. So I'm actually, even though I'm in my 30s now, I would love to do it just to see what it's like to do it.
You think it's too late for us to do it?
No.
You don't think so? You think people still tune in and listen?
Nostalgia, man. It's nostalgic and it's funny. Yeah. People like to see it's not pain, but just seeing how they would react.
Oh, I enjoy watching people in pain sometimes.
Depends on what it is.
Like let's say we're out walking around and hanging out. You trip and fall. I'm going to laugh, but I'm going to ask you if you're okay first, and then I'm going to laugh so hard.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you're not hurt, then
now if you like broken arm and stuff like that, I'm going to be you're frantic.
Well, I'll just let you put it back in place because apparently you know how to do that.
Well, I've done it once or twice. Not a broken arm.
But that's so exciting. I'm excited for some of the interviews. I really wish I could have been with Brother Birdsong. That would have been really cool. Our interviews that we've done, I really enjoy. Those are such an interesting because I like hearing, like I said, you hear different stories of how people got to where they are and what their thought processes are and stuff like that. I really enjoy that factor of it. And I just like doing fun stuff. I mean, I think some of the plans that we've talked about is really, really cool. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited when we can get everything nailed down and get started on it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've just been enjoying, and I still, like I said, it's funny because you think sometimes we get burnout on doing something like this, and you may suffer the burnout more because of all the work you do for it. But I look forward to doing this stuff every time we do.
Oh yeah,
it's such a fun time, not only for the podcast version, but just hanging out and doing stuff.
Yeah, just having friendship with it. I got to tell you something though. The last time we talked about pizza rolls and ranch.
Okay.
Yeah, I tried it.
What'd you think?
The bomb.com.
I told you.
And my wife has started doing something new with the pizza rolls. She's spraying them with like olive oil or something like that.
Oh, I've heard.
And then she's putting salt on top of them and toasting them. Dude, I'm gonna tell you, it's like a crusty like pretzel with pizza stuff in the middle. It's so good.
I told you. So, and I can't take credit for the ranch. I can't take credit for the ranch in pizza rolls. That's a Mariah thing.
Oh,
because
really?
I didn't do it originally, but then I saw her do it, and I like pizza with ranch. I've done that before.
Yeah, I've done it too.
So it just didn't click, but pizza rolls are totally a dippable thing. It's like a chicken nugget, except in pizza form. So I can't necessarily take credit for that. Mariah got started. Not that it was probably her original idea. I'm sure there's a lot of people that decided like this would be a good comment.
Well, I think you say pizza, and people automatically, if you're a school kid and you never put ranch on your pizza, did you really go to public school?
Yeah,
probably not. Yeah, it's like I don't know if you did see either. Rice was like one of the worst tasting the rice pilaf they used to put there. I would put barbecue sauce in my rice just so that I could eat it.
You know what was cool though? I got out of school before the health stuff. So the way our lunch in high school worked is there was several different items that you could get.
Yeah.
And that was but one of the things they had there were their fries, and you could just buy fries.
Mm-hmm.
And there would be people that would just buy the fries, and our school fries were really, really, really good. So people would buy like 5 things of fries, and that would be their lunch. And I remember I've done that a time or two, but just it's so weird. I can't really remember my favorite school lunch. It probably was pizza.
Really?
I can't say that I do.
So
I ate lunch every day, and we didn't pack. I didn't pack. I was I had my lunch money, and that was my lunch. I never packed for school lunch, but I just cannot remember. I would assume it's pizza or like walking tacos. We did walking tacos, but I cannot remember what my favorite school lunches were.
Yeah, so I think we didn't. You said that you had school lunches before the health stuff. I think I did too. I think Obama was in office, but nothing really took place
until the second term. I think it was like his second term where they really did the health stuff,
which was the end of my high school when that started happening. So I think the biggest thing they did was like you could pick a salad over something. Like they didn't like get rid of everything, but
I caught the tail end of where they were taking regular pop out of vending machines at our school.
Yeah,
because we had vending machines and there was regular pop, but they had at the tail end it was just like the Gatorade, Powerade Zeros.
We didn't have anything like that. We had a thing. So our school mascot was the Ranger, and you could get Ranger bucks, and they had a school shop. And you could go buy like Sour Punch straws and Mountain Dews and stuff like that. We didn't have any vending machines, not that I can think of in high school. But then again, you couldn't leave to go get lunch either. So.
You couldn't do that either. I'll tell you something funny about what I did when I was a senior. Go ahead. Though,
but when I was in trade school, and which was the career center, which is where you do half a day for a trade, and then the other half is regular education. Class. Yeah, they would do on Fridays. You could buy Donato's pizza from them. You could buy slices of Donato's pizza instead of getting their regular lunch. And I think it was like $2 or $3 a slice, something like that. And guys would go buy a whole pizza, spend $18 on a whole. You're like, dude, you could have that thing delivered for your, for that.
Cheaper.
Like,
that, yeah. And so I remember growing up, and then so I'll tell my funny story here in a second. But the career centers, I almost went to Miami Valley Career Technology Center because of the lunches. Their lunches were insane. Like it was like super top of the line lunches every single day.
Yeah.
And I wanted to go just for the food because that's just who I am as a person.
I'm a foodie, yeah. But everybody knows
we're a foodie.
We're foodie, yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I couldn't pick a class for CTC, so I didn't end up going. But so my high school was big. Mm-hmm. I had a big high school.
What was your class?
So my graduating class, just in my senior class, was over 600 kids. And that was at the time the biggest that they had. But I mean, now it's like 1,200 kids per graduating class.
Yeah, I think we were like 700.
Yeah, it's like 600 to 700 kids I had a big school. I went to Wayne, and it was funny. So we had our auditorium and then our gym, and then we had 6 individual buildings. It looked like a college campus almost, a very miniature college campus where you would walk from building to building to where your class was. But what the seniors did, which I didn't fall for it my freshman year, but a senior thing you did is you said that Wayne had a pool and you could sell pool passes. Only the seniors could sell pool passes, and there was no swimming pool.
Oh boy.
And I made about $40.
Wow.
Selling fake swimming pool passes. So yes, I am a bad person, but it was part of the hazing process that we did. But I remember there was some kids that made some serious bucks selling fake pool passes. And that's the problem is when you're in high school, like I remember freshman year, like you're so nervous going in because so the way it works is there was like, everything got condensed as you went up. So in my hometown in Huber, there was like 10 elementary schools. Mm-hmm. And then there went to 2 middle schools. And then it's 1 high school.
Yeah.
So you obviously have your elementary school, which is very well broken apart. And you have your friends that you grow up with all throughout elementary school. And then you get some combined at one of the middle schools. And then you get your friends there for 3 years, which they've changed it now. But for when I was there, it was 3 years. And then you go and you're in high school, and it's everybody. So you're seeing a bunch of people that you don't know.
Never met before, yeah.
Yeah, you don't know who freshmen are. You don't know who the seniors are because you've never seen them before. You don't know. So it's such an intimidating factor. It was such an intimidating factor for me. Thankfully, I didn't fall for any of the stupid, because actually my freshman orientation, not that I was a big swimmer, the people that did our freshman orientation, the seniors that did it were really nice and say, don't buy the fake pool passes. They told me.
Yeah.
They warned us, but then.
And you didn't return a favor?
No, I didn't. I was a little scammer. I was always trying to scam.
Our school was similar. We had elementary, we had Central and South. Central was just a standard school building. But then South was it was on an air base. So it was initially made for a military air base.
Oh,
It's called Rickenbacker. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
no, I haven't. But that'd be really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. I went to, at that time, when I started going to school, the air base had been pretty much disbanded. Like they still had some things on there, but they weren't. They were in a little area called the Meadows, is what it was for. But for the most part, that got moved into like Section 8 after the military base got pulled down.
Yeah.
But I went to South, and when we went to, from there you go into intermediate, which is 4th, 5th, and 6th grade.
Okay.
And then middle school was 7th and 8th, and then you went into high school, which is obviously the top 4. So that was, I didn't know how common that was until I started going around and seeing other people. But like those first years in intermediate was like, who are you? Oh, I've been going here all my whole life. Oh, you must have went to Central or whatever, you know? So,
and you have the nicknames for the other school that you make fun. So for us, the 2 middle schools was Weisenborn and Studebaker. We called, I went to Weisenborn, so we called people that went to Studebaker Stupid Baker. You go to Stupid Baker. They said we were weenie born for like Weenie Hut Juniors and stuff like that. So that was what we were called, but it's just so funny. And then you go to Wayne, and then everybody's just everybody. So it was just school was such an interesting dynamic. So you said your elementary was like what? You said K through 3, and then 4th, 5th, and 6th was intermediate,
yeah.
And then
middle was 7th and 8th.
So for me, K through 5 was elementary school. 6th, 7th, 8th was middle school, and then the big 4 was high school.
Yeah, we had 4. They still do it that way. They still have 4. Now they made all, by the time before I graduated, I remember being in 6th grade, and when I was in the 3rd grade, they made the intermediate school, and I was like the second class to get to go through that. And then while I was in 6th grade, they were just finishing the intermediate, so I was like one of the first classes to get into that new building. And then they made a brand new high school right after that, and I got to go into that by 2nd or 3rd class. And it was crazy because I guess when your school district is building all these new schools, you're kind of like, where do they get all the money for that? So like, sorry, mom and dad, you know?
Yeah, that's like all those school levies that they pass. Now I'm like, I don't know if I want to pay for a school levy.
Yeah. But it's like, it was really neat to get to go to all these new buildings, because the first building, it was old. Oh my goodness, dude. No air, no heating, none of that. So, and then like it's like those old 80s and 90s, like dirty bathrooms that you see in like those old movies, you know, like you just,
where kids were getting swirlies.
Yeah.
And stuff,
yeah. You're like even before you go in there, you can smell it. You just know it's just this nasty bathroom. But I guess it was neat to kind of get to experience that, and then get to experience the new stuff, because it was the school, my dad went to and stuff like that. So being able to do that, which now my kids won't get to experience that, obviously, but they won't even get to go to the same school I went to. So
you're in a completely different area.
Yeah, a completely different area. They're not going to know any of the teachers I had and stuff like that. But I always thought that was kind of cool. I remember I was thinking the other day, I was in 2nd grade, and all these kids the teacher was saying, I think it's funny that I still remember this, but
I don't remember anything. But
I was in the 2nd grade, and the teacher was like, yeah, I had your mom and dad. I had your mom and dad. And then I was like, did you have my mom and dad? And he's like, no, I didn't. At that time, I didn't know my parents were older. So they were kind of my mom was probably the teacher's age. And he was like, no, because all the other kids, like their mom and dads were like, I don't know, they're probably 18, 19, maybe even 20. And some of them were. And you're like, wow, just the age difference was crazy. Which my mom and dad weren't crazy old. I mean, I think dad was 23 and mom was 33.
Okay. So so all of the schools I went to growing up don't exist anymore.
Oh, really?
So I think it was either a year or 2 after I graduated high school, they leveled all of them and they condensed it. So now for elementary school, it's K through 6th. is elementary school, 7th and 8th is middle school, and there's only one middle school, and then there's like only a couple. They condensed it, but they rebuilt everything brand new. So I didn't get any of that. So I got the old building, and it's sad. Sometimes I think about it. It's like it's kind of sad that I can't go back to where I went to school anywhere because none of the buildings exist. They all literally got leveled and rebuilt. But it's funny. So I live in the same house that I lived in when I was a kid growing up. And Connor is going to the school that technically where I would have been going. But obviously, like I said, it was destroyed and rebuilt. But we do like his parent teacher conferences and stuff like that. I'll go and I'll see teachers that I know.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, you're still teaching when I was a kid, when I was this age.
And you were old when I was a kid.
Yeah. You were old when I was a kid. And like, I think elementary school teachers have the hardest job because like as far as the teaching is concerned, like levels, obviously I know the subjects get more complex as you climb up, but like I know my kids and how energetic they are. And I can imagine a class of 20 to 30 of the kids. That would be such a hard thing because you're trying to teach, but you're like, especially for kindergartners, like good luck.
I think the hard thing is, not everybody can teach every grade.
Yeah.
You got different, there are teachers that I can remember that made me love learning. And then there's teachers that made me hate their subject 100%. I'm a math and science kind of guy, and I like history. When it comes to English and writing and reading, I hate it. That is like the worst subjects to ever be around because number one, it just drains me. Like, I'm just like, I can't do this. This is just like, I guess I get reading fatigue. So that's why I read my Bible at night so that I can fall asleep. It makes you want to, and you read, he begat, you start getting out there. But I had some really cool science teachers that showed me how much fun you could have. I think that's why Brother Ryan is such a good teacher because he likes to do all the, when he starts telling me all the projects he's doing, I'm like, I remember doing that when I was a kid. I really like he talked about dropping.
He's also kind of a big kid.
Yeah. Aren't we all though?
All three of us are all big kids. So I had the opposite effect. I don't love English, but I don't hate it. I don't mind like the reading and literature portion. My favorite subjects were always math and history. Mm-hmm. My least favorite subject of all time is science. Mm-hmm. And I had one good science teacher in high school, and then that was pretty much it. I took chemistry. It's the only class that I've ever got a bad grade in. I wasn't like, don't let me fool you. I wasn't a straight A student, but I got A, B's, and C's. Yeah. And I think
a passing grade.
Yeah, I passed. My report card didn't have a stutter. It wasn't.
I've never heard that before. That's funny.
Yeah, my report card didn't have a stutter. But my chemistry teacher that I had ruined science for me. Yeah. Because I wanted to be, like I told you, I wanted to be a pharmacist. Yeah. Like that was one of my career goals. And then I took the one science teacher that I liked. I'm like, hey, this is kind of the path I want to go on. What do I need to do from here? Yeah. And he's like, it's chemistry. That's what you need to take. And the chemistry teacher I had was really old, near the end of her tenure. And I had her the last period of the day. So I was in 7th period. So she was done always. And I would ask questions trying to figure out the material. And she would just say, like, figure it out. I'm like, I can't. I've done what I needed to do. I've studied. I've read. I still don't get it. Can you help me? No. See, just done.
I took honors chem rather than regular chem. So I took honors chem, and honors chem was the first period of the day. So I'm getting off the bus at 7:30, or when did we start? I think it's 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock is when we started. And at that time you're up at 6 or whatever, to get ready. You're really not still awake, even though
absolutely not.
So like I'm like, what? Wait a minute. What's the difference between an oxide and a nitrogen and all these 8s and this and that? Like what? Like it took me forever to get a hold of it because I was trying to wake up. I had one bad instance with a teacher that I was going through a hard time. I was in the 8th grade. My uncle had just passed away, and I was just in a slump. And my grades started going down, and this teacher couldn't distinguish that. Well, I'll start with this. Like, a teacher knows when a student's doing good or bad. I had one time when I was a freshman in high school, and I had a really bad migraine, and I went to go take a math test, and most of the time I didn't mess up a math test. I never got below like a 90. So I had a migraine, and I'm saying this because to give backup for what I'm getting ready to say.
No, I get you.
And
You're weaving right now. You're pulling a Trump. You're weaving.
Yeah. I'll come back to this later.
We're gonna get back to it.
Yeah.
I know.
No, but I had a migraine and like I got like a 50 or 40 on that test. And that teacher was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, my head is beaten." And he was like, "Go to the nurse, go home, and when you get better, the next day you're back, come and retake that test." I came back and I got, blew it out of the water, whatever. Well, this teacher, I went from being an A student to a D student in his class. And one day I'll never forget it. He pulled me up to his class and showed me my grade. And he said, "If you were my kid, you'd be sleeping in the doghouse." I was like, "Oh, yeah, I'm definitely not going to try to do any better for you." I remember his name was Mr. Good, and Mr. Good was Mr. Bad.
Well, how do you justify that for a kid?
Yeah,
like you said, kids are not hard to read
no,
for the most part. You can kind of tell what's going on with, obviously it takes you a while to learn the child and learn the kid, but you can tell.
Yeah.
Eventually, if you're off, you're off. My favorite teacher was my U.S. history teacher I had in high school. His name was Mr. Gordon. And I almost became a history teacher, how much I love history. I love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I'm obsessed with it, fascinated by it, love every bit of it. And that's the only class I can ever remember where I was over 100%. Like I was over 100%. Funny story with him. He was a basketball fan. He was a college basketball fan. And at the time when I was younger, I was all into sports. I was into every sport you could think of: baseball, football, basketball, all of it. I was hooked on all of it.
Yeah.
But March Madness would come around, and my study hall was the same time as his study period. So every teacher had a period where they had a break period, right? And my study hall was the same as his break period. And he would sign me out of my study hall, and he had a little miniature TV in here in his room. And we would watch college basketball during March Madness. But my favorite story with him, and this is how this is going to sound like he's a bad teacher, but at the same time, you understand your kids and understand. I was asleep in class. It was like near the end of the day, and it was like 100 degrees in the room. So I was cooked. I was and I just had my head down. I was asleep, but not really. I could still pay attention. There was another kid. So I sat third row in the middle. So in the middle. And then there was another kid that was second row. So he was diagonal for me. He's literally catty cornered for me. And he was asleep as well. And my teacher woke him up. And this is how I knew. I guess this probably isn't a good story, but it's funny. And woke him up. Mm-hmm. And that kid was like, "Are you going to wake him up?" And he's like, "No, why would I do that? He's got over 100% of my class. You don't."
Yeah, you're failing.
So why would I wake him up? And it's stuff like that. It's where teachers that understand and that are really cool, having a cool teacher can make such an impact on learning.
Yeah.
Because if you have everybody, there was a government teacher that we had to take, because everybody has to take government in Ohio. There was two government teachers. One was like a pothead hippie. And then the other one was would hit you with a ruler, like old school, hard nose, hard. So nobody wanted her. Her name was Miss Dickens, but that's who I got my senior year, unfortunately, but not unfortunately. She was such a good teacher. Yeah. She wasn't fun. And you had to earn whatever grade you got, you earned. And she made that class a lot. She would do open debates. And this was a public school, and obviously it was a little bit different time. It wasn't as hyper sensitive. We had discussions on religion. We would talk about different religions. You would talk about different
we did too,
different forms of government. And she would have open debates. It was like a debate class, except it was government. And the way I look back on that now so fondly, because that's how you get a younger generation engaged in politics and in the future of their country, where the other guy literally you could just skip his class and you would still get it. Yeah. He was a hippie, didn't care, didn't give you any work, no homework, no nothing, didn't care, literally did not care. Yeah. And then she was the complete polar opposite, and you had to, everything you got, you earned. It's I love teachers that are consistent. And she was so consistent, but she keeps you so engaged. And I've had teachers, like I said, Mr. Gordon was a fun teacher for me. He kept me engaged in learning. He was a history teacher because of a connection. And he made history more like, he talked about the fun aspects of history and like really, and even the stuff that was kind of boring, he drummed up and made it more exciting. And then she was like, make sure you're engaged. She would do open debates. She would do things like that. And that makes such a difference for a child. Like, I think the problem with society is we've lost the ability to have a conversation, and everything is so hypersensitive and hyper focused on, like, I don't want to offend anybody. But the problem is if you don't have a conversation, you lose the ability to try and find something that you can connect with.
Yeah.
That's why I've always been big on like perspectives. I think I've said this on the podcast. One of my favorite things to try and collect from different things is different points of view.
Yeah.
Even from different religions. I know what I believe, and I'm not trying to inquire about other religions. I just want the perspective. So that's the way I look at things. So like she offered that perspective because you would have kids that have different backgrounds that have no idea about anything with politics. And then you had kids that had parents that were all political. And then it was discussion. And then you would find out, hey, well, this person doesn't like this and this person doesn't like this. Let's figure out a difference and let's try and have a conversation. And I think teachers, for the most part, I feel like teaching is such an overlooked profession because I think there's so many bad teachers that sometimes teachers get a bad rap. But if you have a good teacher, it makes such a difference.
I think number one, teachers are underpaid for what they do. I mean, these are the people that, well, for the most part, most schools they're not paying. They may make $40,000 to $50,000 a year.
Yeah.
And that's nothing in a bucket for today's economy. But I remember teachers who love their subject make it more fun. When I was younger, I didn't really like American history all that much because I was like, this is a long, drawn out, boring process. But now that I've gotten older, obviously it wasn't so boring. There's a lot of awesome, crazy stories for U.S. history. But I loved learning about the ancient civilizations like Mesopotamia and Egypt and stuff like that. It was called a tag class. It was like for talented and gifted or something like that. And they totally turned history around for me. Like it was specifically about these ancient history things. And the guy's name was Mr. Fitzgerald. And he was one of the coolest teachers ever. Then I got that was sixth grade. And then I got into my freshman year, I had his teacher. His name was Mr. Jackson. He was one of the coolest dudes ever. He named his kid Crash Jackson.
Oh, that's
cool. Ain't that a hard name?
That's so cool.
Yeah. But he was a big baseball guy. He was the baseball coach for the school and all this stuff. And he taught American history, and it was really cool because the way that he brought things out, he wouldn't just like go through his thing. He went and found videos.
Yeah.
And like did all this stuff to try to make it fun. Like we had this one project where you had to take a song and go over and do something different. I think one thing, no, maybe he didn't teach you. I think he taught world history. Yeah, I think he taught world history. And we got into the Bolsheviks, and the Balkan War and all that stuff. And it was like you had to take a song, rewrite the lyrics, and if you sang it, you got extra credit for it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. So he was a really cool teacher, and he always had time at the end of his class to talk with people. So like he would tell a crazy story, or somebody just share something they were doing over the weekend, or he was big into like he was a big movie buff, so he would talk about he would like quote a line from a movie or something, and if you got it, like he'd throw you a piece of candy or something like that. That's
what I'm saying. Stuff that keeps teachers engaged. Like teachers need to keep you engaged. And I want to say this. I feel like a lot of teachers are unionized. So a lot of the pay is standardized, a lot of this stuff with unions. I'm not getting into all that because I don't want to, whatever. But there's so many bad teachers that make it hard for the good teachers.
Yeah.
I feel like a good teacher, you can't pay enough. If there's a good teacher, you literally cannot pay them enough. Mm-hmm. But I feel like there's so many bad apples. It makes it.
See, out of all the teachers I've had, may have only had one or two bad teachers.
In my school, so this would be 12 years of schooling from kindergarten to or 13.
Of course, we're talking about two completely different areas.
Yeah,
Columbus
two different
and
areas.
Dayton are very different.
Absolutely, and you can't even say it's just our lived experience.
And I was a more rural suburban school,
and I'm very urban.
Yeah.
Very diverse. In my years of schooling, I probably could think of probably six or seven teachers that I had that were bad.
Which did you get from pre-K?
Yeah. No. Yeah. So the worst teacher I ever had was kindergarten. She made me terrified. I wouldn't even go to Sunday school. That's one of my childhood memories is my kindergarten teacher being mean.
Brutal.
I was a kindergartner and she was so mean. I would not go to Sunday school.
Wow.
I don't know where she is, but my first grade teacher, I'll never forget her, saved me from school, saved me and made me like school again. She was an angel. She was the best teacher. I loved her very much. She helped me recover from, which is crazy because it's one grade, you kindergarten to first. Because the thing is my mom was terrified because she pulled me out of kindergarten. I got pulled out and had to go see a tutor and all that stuff. So my mom was worried, okay, he's not going to school. Is he even going to be able to test to go to first grade? And I excelled. So they were I don't know. Like I said, and I found out years later that teacher that I had in kindergarten, she was near her ending tenure as well.
She was retired and ready to go.
She was
getting ready to retire.
Yeah, and I think there was a lot of parents that shared the same sentiment and had a lot of the same horror stories. Yeah. But once again, she's been there for so long, you're not going to fire her. So I can think of the good impacting teachers I had were probably really, the rest were middle of the pack we had 7 periods. So you had 7 different teachers in high school for 4 different years. Cause you had 7 different teachers.
Right.
And then middle school, you had 7 different teachers. Cause we would go from subject to subject, even in middle school as well. Mm-hmm. And then 5th grade, kindergarten through 5th grade, it was one teacher. You had one teacher for all of it.
We started getting multiple teachers in 4th grade.
Yeah. No,
besides your special
homeroom.
Well, so you up until 3rd grade, you stayed in the same room, same teacher until you had gym or art or music.
Those ones.
Which is so funny I remember growing up in so I didn't go to public school to 2nd, 3rd grade, but our music teacher's name was Mrs. Boring. And she was anything but boring. Her thing was around Halloween that her and her husband Frankenstein would go out and hand out candy. So which was so crazy because she was my dad's music teacher, and he was she was literally the same thing we're saying. She was ancient when he was young, but she had a lot of fun and impact and that kind of stuff. And it's crazy when you step back. And I did choir in high school, and to think that maybe somebody, Mrs. Boring from 3rd grade, made me want to get into. Or I started doing choir in 4th grade, and then my choir teacher, she was awesome. Mrs. Shute, she just got teacher of the year in Ohio or something like that. And you had to go in and vote and say, this is whatever. But to be able to go back and look and see these people that have impacted your life and see them still be successful and all that kind of stuff, But yeah, man.
Like I said, I wasn't the biggest fan of school. I wasn't the biggest fan, but the teachers that I had that made an impact on me, I remember so vividly. And if you have a good teacher, appreciate them. Mm-hmm. And then if you have some bad teachers, just try and make it through.
Yeah, just get through it, man. Well, guys, that was back to our regular scheduled program. It's nice to be able to sit and have us back. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.
See you guys.